You never know what life has written for you, you know what I mean? So it's amazing to be out here, Abu Dhabi, Bahia. Yesterday we walked 5-minute walk to the sea. You know what I mean? This is stuff this is what I'm into now, you know what I mean? I don't really like the big city life. I like to be away from everybody, relax, quiet, you know what I mean? So when I come out here, every time I was just telling Ma'een and how you get the tranquility, you know what I mean? When you get away from the fast life, the cars, the hustle of the city, man. So I think that's natural for the soul of anybody. Sometimes you need to relax and reflect. In an environment like this, you can reflect. The documentary is about my life. A lot of people don't know some of the struggles that I went through prior to getting into the music industry. For example, at the age of 3, I witnessed both of my parents get murdered in front of me. I got shot in the foot. So I came from a background environment where I was in a rough environment. You know, my same brother from same mother, father got shot in the stomach. Another time his house got shot up. My brothers and my cousins in and out of jail. So I show how that part of my life, the music saved me from that environment, but at the same time in the documentary, it shows that the environment that I was running from, it was actually waiting for me also in the music industry, but on a whole nother level. So we go into, you know, I touch up on even the East Coast, West Coast beef from the point of view of the Outlawz and Tupac, because we had one of the biggest songs called Hit 'Em Up, that when it released I believe it sold about 3 or 4 million in less than 6 months. And it was one of the greatest diss songs to this day in history, you can say. And but a lot of people from the outside looking in, they would look like we was troublemakers. You know, even in the documentary, Loon, Amir, he's in the documentary, and he said, man, it looked like at that time we were just running around starting trouble. But from the documentary standpoint, I was able to touch up on what Tupac was going through at that time, what we was going through at that time. You know, because growing up, it seemed like every time that I got close with an individual in my life, in my neighborhood, they get taken away from me. So when Pop passed away, it was very hard for me to deal with it. It was a death that, you know, losing my mother and father at a young age. I was a kid, I didn't know. But this was a death that struck home because I seen this individual every single day. When you grow up with a person and you live with them and you eat from breakfast, lunch, and dinner with an individual, and you wake up one day and you go to the bedroom and you expect for them, for many days after Pop died, I was expecting for someone to walk out his bedroom. Every day drinking alcohol, heavy alcohol, drugs, partying. This is my life for the next almost 10 years, you know. And one day I happened to be in a recording studio and I was intoxicated. Got into a fight with my little brother. He had to go to the hospital, get staples in his head. Muslim brother, the producer, walked in, come up, Mikhail, and he basically seen what was happening, came to me, calmed me down, spoke to me, and eventually we exchanged phone numbers. And this brother, you know, may Allah reward him, because he would call me every day. And I had this particular time of my life, I had a certain type of hatred towards Muslims. And I didn't trust Muslims because the people that murdered my mother and father was actually from the Nation of Islam. So I used to believe that the Nation of Islam and the Muslims are the same religion. So I kind of didn't trust this individual, you know. So he kept calling and calling, I need you to come to the mosque, come meet the brother. So I remember I grabbed a gun, you know, went up there. I called about 30 of my boys. I went up there. But when I actually went into the masjid, the mosque, that was the first time in my life that I actually seen something that I never seen before, you know. And I seen, to me, it looked like sincere brotherhood that you don't get from the streets and you don't get from the music industry. And the more that I spent time with these individuals, the more I wanted to know about this religion. For like a whole year, I was saying I have to stop drinking. Ramadan is coming, I have to do it. And after praying to Allah, making dua, Allah made it easy. You know, it was a hard 30 days, waking up in sweat, taking all pain pills all through the night. And alhamdulillah, Allah gave me tawfiq and made it easy. After that Ramadan, I never went back to drinking again in my life, and that was over 8 years ago, alhamdulillah, 7 years ago, alhamdulillah. If music wasn't haram, I'd be in a studio right now. You know what I mean? If it wasn't against my religion, you know? But imagine something that you love so much, all you knew, all your life. You know, I made millions of dollars from this industry, toured around the world. I fed my family and I fed my friends with this. This is all I knew. So imagine if somebody come to you and say, well, basically what you're doing is wrong. So naturally, I was rebellious against this. It wasn't until a friend of mine that actually sat me down and they actually gave me proof authentically from the Quran and from the Sunnah and from the 4 Imams. And I said, there's no way that I can go against this. You know, I would feel like I'm not being true to myself or my religion if I keep trying to put this behind and pretend that I don't see what they're giving me. I said, there's no way that I can keep fighting and I have to walk away from it. Well, my base is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And most of the time I'm just there. If I'm not traveling, I'm just with my family. I'm a family man.